Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Techie Talks with Kuldeep. I'm your host Kuldeep Singh. Wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year. On this first Saturday of the year 2026, we are back again with our first live episode of 2026 Tech Predictions and Insights. With me, there are three veterans from the industry. First is Dr. Sarabjot Singh. Dr. Sarabjot Singh is very well known name in the industry. He's having 30 plus years of the experience, and he has seen the AI, what is the current AI, from the data science to the data analytics to the machine learning, then to the deep learning, and now what we are into the LLM age of AI. Then we do have Mr. Sandeep with us. Sandeep is the another veteran in the cloud and DevOps space, and he's the co-founder and CTO of the OpsTree solutions. Then we do have Manu. Manu is the CEO of ScaleupAlly and has been working with the small and medium enterprises how they can leverage tech, and has been very enthusiastic around the AI space. Without any further delay, I will start the conversation, and we will be like, it's more kind of the casual conversation, and people will be sharing their own view. So in case you do not also agree with their view, that's perfectly fine. And we have opened also the chat, so towards the end of the session we will be taking few questions where the expert will be sharing their view. So feel free to ask your questions in the chat. So let's start the conversation. And doctors. So let's start with 2026, right? As we have seen with any technology change, that the change has already started. We have seen lots and lots of the new technologies have evolved in the years, and specifically, the AI, which has revolutionized whether you are into the tech world or not. But this is something which has impacted everyone. So my first question would be to Dr. Sarabjot. So Sarabjot sir, is this something a like you will just see the we are evolving into the chatbot world, or do you see something major coming up in the year 2026?
Thanks, Kuldeep, and a happy New Year to you and everyone here. I think the way I see it, AI is going to continue to evolve. I think we have focused very much on LLMs over the last couple of years, and to be honest, I think we have gone well beyond LLMs already. So the AI that we are dealing with today, we call them LLMs, but LLMs is a very small part, right? These are actually AI systems that are integrating what are standard, deep learning models into it as well, right? So when we do image generation, it's actually going well beyond what a large language model does, which is really predicting the next word. So where we have got to from the launch of ChatGPT, for example, in November 22, to where we are today, we've already got a much more complex infrastructure that is hidden behind a natural language conversational agent, right? We have these multi-agent systems that have evolved. So I think that's going to continue. Large language models, in my view, is not going to deliver on, general intelligence. We still are far away from that. When I say far away in AI terms, that of course could mean 5 years, not 50. But I think there is going to be a shift. What is interesting is the world models that are being talked about as alternative approaches. We have to remember that large language models, as exciting a technology they are, when you actually start using them in anger, right, on a daily basis, you start to find the limitations. And we find those limitations all the time. And part of why those limitations exist is that these are inherently correlation based models still. We are not understanding the world. We are not providing causality within these models that are very, very important, right? To build systems that are safe. And so we are going to see a shift in that direction. Another thing that I think is becoming very important is the fact that AI is a very powerful tool. It's going to continue to be powerful, but it's in the hands of unelected, organizations. You know, countries run because, well, democratic countries run because we elect people. We haven't elected the CEO of OpenAI. We have not elected the CEO of Google or Microsoft for that matter. And I worry about the fact that you're seeing power and substantial power in the hands of essentially organizations that are looking to create profit for their shareholders, and they're right to do that. They're businesses. And so we have to start looking at, potentially there's some talk around sovereign AI, where you're saying we have to own the AI stack, right? And when we talk about the AI stack, we are talking about the hardware for training models. We are talking about the data. And while a lot of work has been done around countries, bringing in laws that require residency of data, there are also concerns about if you have residency of data, but the models are owned by primarily US based entities or Chinese entities, then are you going to be underrepresented in the AI models themselves because you have ring fenced your data, right? And so, are we going to see a scenario where AI wipes out small communities in parts of the world that have not provided their data to these companies? And so we've got to think about how this sovereign AI evolves, and I think it will evolve to some extent. You already see Germany and France saying that we are only going to work with Mistral, which is a French large language model AI company, right? And they are looking at how can we build this stack out, from data residency to the compute layer, which again we are tied up to Nvidia right now, right? Yes, of course, all of the hyperscalers are creating their own hardware as well, but essentially, right now the lion's share of the market is with Nvidia. What if the US government decides, I'm going to hurt a country like we have seen India suffer over the last while? If they were to say, okay, we're not going to sell Nvidia chips to India, or not going to allow it, for example, what are we going to do? If India decides that, hey, the LLMs, we are giving them data, but we are not getting the benefit out of them. They're supporting around 8 Indian languages. What about the rest, right? These are things that we have to think about, and countries at large need to start thinking about, because I think we've got to see some level of AI sovereignty come in, and hopefully we'll see the emergence of that in this year itself.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely right, and I think, see, with the power of internet, we went into more kind of the decentralized space. But now again, we see, okay, more or less like the power is again getting centralized to only to the fewer players, and I see that conversation has started, and I would say even that conversation has started even in the India community as well. There are like talks of like how you can build certain things which are specific for our language, where we can keep also our data center, and there are like companies who are building that stack specifically for the Indian market. So now I'll come to you, Sandeep, and
Sandeep.
because Sarab,
Yeah.
yeah. So Sandeep is also like coming more from the DevOps and as well as the cloud space perspective. Do you also see the corresponding changes are coming to the DevOps as well as to the cloud space, as the tech and specifically AI is evolving?
Have to unmute me. Yeah. By the way, I
Yes.
had one question for Sarab sir, but probably
Sure.
I'll ask that later. I'll start answering your question. So see, one interesting thing that AI has done is that it has touched every single tech or non-tech area. So obviously, which means that cloud or let's say DevOps obviously cannot be untouched around it, right? The good thing is that the journey has already started, and we have seen a huge impact of AI across all those dimensions or verticals of DevOps, and you name it, right? So for example, how I see AI is that, let's say, when you have huge amount of data which you obviously not comprehend, then AI can help you out there. Take example of, let's say, if I talk about continuous integration. So 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 what happens that, let's say, a new checks comes into the picture. Now it takes a lot of time for you to inculcate that, but now with AI getting all that data, comprehending it, it becomes very, very easy. Similarly, one area where I have seen huge impact of AI is specifically in the observability domain. uh, let's say if you are managing a huge amount of infrastructure, and uh, typically when we talk about mean time to recovery or mean time to detect, and I have seen that people have taken, let's say, hours or even days as well to figure out an issue. But with the advent of AI, specifically when I talk about AI ops, it has uh, it has it has shown decent performance there, where we were able to identify issues doing root cause analysis. That's where AI has excelled. I'll give an example, right? So when you have to investigate an issue, there are desperate sources from you have to basically crunch all that data. So there would be logs, there would be traces, there would be, let's say, golden matrices and all those things. Now for a person, let's say a person who has to analyze that issues, that person has to look all those things in totality and then finding a certain issue. The advantage with AI is that all that big crunching of data and all that aspect, that becomes very, very easy. So, in my opinion, let's say all these areas, whether it is about cloud governance or let's say observability or SRE engineering, across all those areas, AI play a very crucial role. Now it is up to the people that they understand that landscape and see that how they will be able to leverage AI to perform their operation better. For example, one of my colleague, what that person has started doing, uh, or earlier we was also doing that, we used to create all those templates, the reusable code. But now with the advent of AI, what we are saying that, okay, let's train our AI models where, let's say, the Terraform code or Ansible infrastructure, Ansible software configuration management is already fed into the system. And if I want to design infrastructure, can I ask in a prompt that, okay, generate, let's say, PCI DSS compliant infrastructure for me? And then the complete infrastructure, at least initial skeleton layer, is there. Now one risk is there, that if you are totally dependent on it, then you will not be able to judge that whether AI has hallucinated or it has created infrastructure correctly. So you obviously you cannot be a person who is only leveraging AI and not validating it. So maker and checker rule has to be applied there. You should be aware about all those things, but for your efficiency, you should definitely use AI. That's what I feel.
And you were having a specific question for Sarabjot sir?
So see, sir, what I have seen is that, again, a pattern across our clients that I have seen is that initially what used to happen, that, let's say, when a new technology come, then company used to start, let's say, developing solutions around it. But with AI, the difference that I'm seeing is that a lot of commoditization is happening, right? Instead of people developing solutions, some companies are developing it, but there are specific companies who are developing specific solutions. So let's take example of bots, right? So now there are dedicated company who are creating voice bots and chat bot, and then they are saying that, okay, you don't have to invest so much time to develop all those things, because we know that a voice bot has to perform in a certain fashion and it has a certain business knowledge. So let's say there's a voice bot for loan collection and all those things. So what is your take on it? So how industry will move? Will it move toward commoditization, or will it move towards, let's say, creating specific solutions?
So I'm not sure about the distinction between how you're defining commoditization as such here and specific solutions. If I understand you correctly, you're saying that there are individual businesses that are focusing on what we can say verticals, right? And building solutions on top of that. my view is that a lot of those businesses are getting wiped out by newer versions of the LLMs that are coming out with OpenAI,
Yes.
right? Every or any other company for that matter. So I think that is where the bubble is, right? A lot of businesses are, they don't really have a moat, right? They're creating an interface or on top of the LLMs and saying, here is my unique solution. There's nothing unique about it, right?
Right.
And so I think we have to be very careful about those kinds of businesses compared to those that are actually adding value, and that value add is very important. So we
Right.
work with a lot of startups in the US, and we see both sides, right? And we've seen, for example, you were talking about root cause analysis. We've built for in fact a company that has spun out of Andrew Ng's AI fund, an AI based solution and the software around it that does RCA on industrial accident information, right? Coming from multiple disparate sources. Again, these are eyewitnesses, for example. And the power is there, right, in the LLMs to do something like this. But the questions that have to be asked is, what is your moat? And the moat really comes from learning from interactions. And that's another very, very powerful piece, that the LLMs are currently the only source of learning, right? Which worries me to some extent. So, while we talk about data residency within India, we're actually saying we are all talking to LLMs. The LLMs are learning more about us, just as Google knows more about us than we do, right?
Right.
And so, really, the moat is getting created by those LLMs because of the interactions, and that's where OpenAI has a lead. Otherwise, I mean, if you look at it, right, I mean, maybe this is going to be very controversial to say, but I think, if we look at what's happening right now, Google is to some extent outpacing OpenAI, in my view. But what does OpenAI have? It has the advantage of first mover, where everybody went and started using OpenAI. It's only comes as a second thought to us, let us use Gemini instead,
Gemini.
right? But actually, in my experience, Gemini is actually giving much nicer answers in many cases than what OpenAI is doing, right? And so, to me, I think that moat is what is keeping OpenAI afloat. So when we are looking at these very thin verticalized solutions, we've got to look carefully when we adopt them into business as to what is their moat, right? As this technology evolves, there is ISO 42001, which is the AI ISO, right, is going to become more prevalent. We've got to start asking tough questions about what is the model that you're using, how have you enhanced it, what is the data you have used to enhance it, is there bias within it? We're not asking those questions right now, right? And so when we talk about democratization is happening right now in the sense that anybody can sit up and write an AI based product,
Right.
Yeah.
right, and start selling it in the market. But I don't see those companies surviving. I see them as actually, a blip, and they will disappear. In the end of the day, we need to kind of look at much more mature solutions being developed that can't be developed overnight. And that's where humans are going to come into the loop, right? Because I don't think AI on its own is going to be able to create those solutions.
Yeah. Definitely, I think the human is going to be in the loop. And now coming to the Manu, right? Manu as a person who himself has embraced AI within his company itself, and I think during his regular conversation with the client, right? So what is the market shift which you are noticing, Manu? Is this something the same which you are also the questions being asked by your customers within this space?
Okay, yeah. Hi everyone. Happy New Year. I hope you can hear me properly. Kuldeep, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So there is one clear shift that I'm seeing in 2026 is that the customers won't be tolerating the softwares or analytics piece that make them work for it. They need the softwares and these analytical pieces to be smart enough, and these pieces work for these clients. They do not want dashboards, menus. You have to click there to get to an answer, which is lying down somewhere in a Power BI report or in a software system. They need conversations and they need actions. They will be now using AI to help understand what went wrong, where it is going wrong, what could have triggered that. And rather than me searching it out, the system should take it out, the system should notify the user itself. So anyone who is creating these smarter solutions will be the winner in 2026, as per my observation in the market.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think this is what you said, right? So how the people will also interact with the software is going to get changed. Like, today we are interacting with so many, dumb solution, I would say, like, because you need to go and tell them, hey, here it is. Then you click on B, click on C, get it on one place, get this thing. Maybe in the future you do have a, single interface through which you can ask those questions and you get all those answers very quickly. So yeah,
I
go ahead,
yeah,
Sandeep.
I have one question for Manu. So Manu, one thing that I have seen as a pattern. So see, we are a DevOps company, so we enable our customer hosting their solutions, but then obviously we interact, but we see their solutions as well. I'm seeing two aspects there. So one aspect is that, for example, we have web interface, command line interface, mobile interface. Now, prompt interface is something which is coming as a common, that okay, this should be the first class citizen. Whenever you're developing your application, you should develop a prompt as well. Another pattern that I am seeing is AI first. So there are certain companies, but they are saying that at every interaction point of their application, at every single interaction point of their application, there should be an AI enabled option there as well, where let's say if they want to analyze something, then they should be able to do that as well. So what is your take on that? What pattern are you seeing there? Is this prompt interface is something which is getting traction, or is it AI everywhere, every single interaction point AI should be enabled, or maybe a bot, AI bot? Matlab, how you are seeing it, or it's a combination of everything?
The way I'm seeing is the people will start. There is an inherent nature of doing less clicks and get more outcomes. And anything that helps the customer or the client does that, the solution or the market will move towards that. So in extension to what you are saying, AI first solutions uh, needs to go in the trend, or there will be a demand for it, because not a lot of times can customers or clients will interact with the software piece. And when they do not want to interact, so they want to interact with the humans, they want to interact and do sales. They do not want to go to the software and start inputting the data or see what is happening in the system. This is where, if I make a system an AI first, what will happen is this, because as Sarabjot sir already mentioned, um, the AI has already got the context of the business. It is trained on the all the business contexts of across all the industries. This is where the system, if it is made AI first, anywhere the human wants any interaction with the AI have an answer which is more precise than the software has been built for.
Hmm.
Okay. So you're saying, Manu, like, the interface, like, probably they will start, but I also see it as Sandeep, like, as a human, right? The change, because we have it's been already like, 20 or 30 plus years since we have started interacting with the computer they had, right? With the browser, with the click, etc. So eventually I'm also not seeing like that will go immediately away, because then as a user, it is going to scare me, right? Hey, is this something now I need to learn, the new way? And that's where, the my next question also comes, right? Of course these changes are coming. What are, the skill set which I or someone needs to learn, right? As you know, it is a nervous time, because the tools and specifically, the AI is evolving very quickly. So I will start with Manu, and because you have already working within your company to upscale into the AI, right? What is like, and maybe like the tools are also maturing it quickly. What will be the few skill set which you will be looking for the highest, if highest in 2026 and beyond?
Okay. Um, I will be hiring for problem solving or problem framing. tools will be available to everyone, like coding co-pilots, design co-pilots, analytics co-pilots. But most people still won't know what problem to solve. uh, and the person who can make this messy reality into a clear statement, what I mean by that is he can understand what matters, what are the constraints, what are the KPIs, what are the next steps. And anyone who can bring that clarity within the tight budget constraints, he will be the person who I will be calling as the person who can frame the problem correctly. So, the human skill that wins is asking the right questions and choosing the right trade off. And that is going to be my skill that I myself will be developing uh, within me, within organization, and I will be looking for the new hires for the same thing.
Yeah. No, absolutely right. So you're saying like, the tools will be definitely they will be evolving, but there will be still human will be required who can do that problem solving, who can bring those all pieces of puzzle together and create, the solution. That's is the main task of the problem
It
solving.
is it is an extension to what Sandeep sir has also mentioned, that there will be a junior developer and there will be a senior developer and there will be a playing field where AI has enabled both of these guys to compete in the market. And the what we used to understand that AI might not be able to write applications 1 year back, and now it is doing it. There are applications, and like there is an application called Base 44 which got acquired by Wix. This was built by one platform, got acquired by $80 million, and he just did a work for 6 months. What he did was he started, you use AI to prompt and it will build out an application for you. So AI, the way AI is moving, it's definitely going to write better codes, faster codes, even cleaner codes, and it might be able to also understand the entire context fully. Maybe it is not doing right now, but it will do it eventually. But what problem needs to be solved is has to be decided by human, and as the final validation also be needs to be done by human. So these two things will be there for the human to do.
Yeah. So, Sandeep, coming to you, right? So, over the year, you have also become an expert into the DevOps, cloud, as well as into the SRE space. So, do you also think that all those skills will be vanished away, and only the AI learning will remain applicable within your expertise space?
I'll tell you something, Kuldeep. So I started my career in 2004, right? But I moved into DevOps in 2000. I started my career in 2004, moved into 2000, DevOps in 2014. And frankly speaking, every year somebody tells me that, okay, now DevOps is gone, right? Or Linux is not needed. Uh, See, what I feel is that uh, every single technology that exists in this planet has a lot of let's say potential. I'll give an example. Still there are software which are running on Fortran, and
Or
there are
COBOL.
or COBOL, right? So if they are not gone, forget about the current tech stack that we are working on. But having said that, obviously the usage of Fortran is reduced, usage of COBOL is reduced because we there are smarter people who build smarter solutions, and now you as a smarter person has to move with time to build better solutions. I'll give you a classic example. Take example of Linux, right? Uh, Linux is into existence from quite some time. At this point of time as well, if you don't learn Linux, all the new tools and technologies, for example, Kubernetes is the most celebrated technology at this point of time, especially in terms of DevOps ecosystem. But a person who knows core construct of Linux, they will be able to handle all those aspects of Kubernetes very well. So, in my opinion, it is very, very important that your basics should be very sound, first and foremost thing, for major technologies, right? And then you should keep moving with time. imbibe what is new coming in the system. Don't leave which you have learned, especially in the terms in the construct of basic construct. And as Manu rightly mentioned, that most important aspect is not your knowledge of tools and technology that you can learn at any point of time, but do you have that logical aptitude? This is what matters, and whether you can unlearn and learn, this is what is important. And then it really doesn't matter whether you are working with Java, Go, Python. At least if else for will remain same, and then or the data structure algorithm will remain same. You will build, the syntaxes will change. That's what I believe in.
No, definitely right. What you said is like, this tech stack of the knowledge. It is at one point of time you gained, that knowledge around, the Linux. Then you gained around the knowledge on top of that is the Kubernetes. Those two skill set are still valuable. Maybe now the third layer, you need to start learning, okay, how we can run these, the small language model or the large language model, or even in the traditional machine learning model on a infrastructure, and how you can sustain it. And to answer more, I'll come to Sarabjot sir. And Sarabjot sir, because he has already seen, like, within with 30 years in this field, like there were some times of around with the technology, hey, it is coming up, and then there was, like, a very slow down period, there was a cooling period, and then technology again took, leap to the next level. So what are some of the trends which you have seen over the period where you will say, hey, definitely these things will come, but what are kind of the mindset, or what are the skill set which as a person we should learn more?
Thank you, Kuldeep. I think both Sandeep and Manu have stolen the wind in my sail by mentioning a lot of the things that are important. And I think the best way that I can summarize what they have said, even though I'm not an LLM, but I will still attempt summarization here, is the fact that everything that we do not teach in our curricula in school and college is important. Right? Clarity of thought, problem solving, communication, critical thinking, right? These are going to be really the arrows in your arsenal that are going to make you succeed. Agility, as Sandeep has also mentioned, right? And these are going to be key. They've always been key, but somewhere, we have lost our way, right? By creating a curriculum that is very focused on what is not important. To me, even Hawa Mahal has foundations, right? It's not hanging in the air. And therefore, foundational knowledge is still going to be important. And humans understanding how technology works, not focusing on just knowing the APIs and the models that they can pull in and arbitrarily try and string together into pipelines that create solutions, is going to be very important. And that's why when I speak to students, and I interact with a lot of students now, even in schools and of course in colleges, I tell them, go and watch the movie Martian, because this is about a NASA astronaut who gets left on Mars, and he uses his foundational understanding of botany, which is what he did his degree in, to actually grow vegetables on Mars to survive. And really, I would suggest, without being fear mongering, what I would say is we have to develop that skill of how do we use what we have learned to create a solution for what we are experiencing today. And it is that agility to be able to say, I mean, even when I did my PhD, I used some ideas from insurance systems around survival analysis, and used that in solving a problem which was not from an insurance domain, right? To be able to adapt solutions and create that mapping from one domain to another is what is going to become very, very important, right? And so that ability to think is going to be key.
No, definitely. And this is something also true, right? So even if, for example, like, the LLM model, or even like the reinforcement learning, the way how as a human has tried to learn in the past, those things have been built on top of it. So everything is an observation. People observe and then eventually design the system accordingly then. And definitely I think there is no kind of the worry. Of course the technology shift will keep on coming, but as long as you are able to solve the problem, you are able to communicate, and you are able to do critical thinking, because that's what the world will need more, as the basic work will be done by these machines. So definitely, and as the year is starting, and will like people would like to prefer certain advice, and whether they are like the student, or the having certain experience in this industry. So I will start with Sarabjot sir, with you. For example, for a student who is just starting his journey now, what are the skill set, or what are kind of the project, if he would make, that will impress you in year 2026?
I think what we really are looking for in a student's portfolio is their ability to pause and to think. Students are very keen on saying, oh, go back 5, 6 years ago. If they're not building a neural network model, they're not doing machine learning, right? If they're not, prior to that, it was if you're not comparing with support vector machines, your paper is not going to get published, right? And students today are saying, if I'm not working with LLMs, I'm not learning LangChain, then I'm not, doing any AI. We need students to pause and say, you have more time than we do. Pause. Think about what is the business benefit of what I'm going to create. What are the problems with what I am creating here? Thinking of a complete solution. Have they thought about, we brought around validation. If we have a agentic system that has been created that can go deep into our data sets and produce information for us, people are trusting LLMs all the time and making, taking what they are saying and actually making it their own knowledge base and presenting it as though they have thought things through. But LLMs need to be validated. Have they thought about evaluation of their LLM based solution? Have they used some kind of integrations with MCP servers, for example? Have they built their own servers? Right? Have they been able to think through from soup to nuts, as they say, right? From the where does the data come from? How do I process that data? How do I validate what that AI model is telling me? And then how do I sell that idea to a business to say, this is the problem I'm solving? Not that I'm 99% accurate, but it is going to save you X amount because of what it is going to do to your processes. So it's not just about technology, it's not just about APIs, it's about problem solving. And you have to show that ability, clarity of thought in what you have created. I think that is going to become key.
Yeah.
So, if I may ask to Sarabjot sir, and this is one of the uh, problems we are facing, and maybe other organization might face. You are hiring for a person for a specific role, and we all are looking for problem solving. But the way AI has also given them a power is they're now their production grade applications are ready for them to show in the interviews. There are certain applications that help you give the counter questions as the interviewer is speaking. So they have this phone screen on the laptop and they have all these answers ready, right? And as soon as a person onboards into the system, within a span of 1 month, you realize this is not a great fit, right? How, as an organization and across all the IT organization, what do we need to change the methods of interview, or what we cannot just hire fast and fire faster?
Yeah, that's very expensive, right? I mean, these are mistakes that can cause you lots of pain. I think we definitely have to evolve ourselves in terms of how we are interviewing people, how we are selecting people. And we've seen that in Sabudh ourselves, right? When we get something like 4,000 applications, we try and kind of choose 200 people out of that go through our training program, and they're trying their best to cheat in some way. They're trying to break the system in some way, and we are using AI based interviewing, right? We've actually built our own product that is aimed around academic integrity as well. And so definitely here is where the thinking comes in, right? If you just blindly say, okay, I'll just use one of these AI interview tools, of course there are going to be students that are going to use AI to give those solutions. How do you actually catch them out? How do you get deeper into their actual understanding? I think we have to realize that using tools, AI tools, is not a problem. It is the future. So if a student is using an AI tool, then it's a good thing. But is he actually thinking about it? Is he outsourcing his thinking to an AI tool? And if he's outsourcing his thinking to an AI tool, then he's not a good fit. But if he is using an AI tool to get access to information quickly, then he is looking at that, understanding it, asking questions of the AI to get a deeper understanding of what AI is saying before he gives the answer. That's the person we want, right? In my view. So, it is teaching children that skill, that, it's not all about just, how good an AI sounds when it talks to you. It's also about asking follow-up questions, understanding the concepts that AI is telling you, and then producing your own answer. So we will have to start thinking of better ways of assessing people. And just looking at how quickly they answer and give the right answer to your question is actually playing into the CBSE system of recall and spewing out answers. We don't need that anymore, right? So we've got to start thinking of better ways of evaluation where we are saying, okay, how much does he understand? It's follow-up questions that we ask the candidate to catch them out when they haven't really understood things and superficially have given us an answer based on what AI has told us. Yeah. And we've built a lot of these mechanisms into our AI tool that we use in evaluation of candidates.
Okay.
I can also add something here.
Yeah.
So the process that we follow, especially in our hiring, is that we tend to give a real life problem to people with very minimal context. As simple as that, build this application for us, right? Now coding is one aspect, but as we were discussing earlier, that can they design solution? Can they think the business aspect of it? Can they build a solution in totality? And then there's no foundation that they cannot use AI. They can use whatsoever they want to use. We don't put any limitation, because see, in real life when they were working, obviously they would be using AI. We will not be restricting them. Then why to restrict them during interview? But then can they come up with a holistic solution, full thought through solution? This is what we intend to identify in a person during interview, and that has worked decently well for us.
Yeah.
I like this approach.
Yeah. And no, definitely see what you said, right? So because these tools are available and people should leverage it. And to me, that also gives the chance also, like for example, the people who are not very tech heavy, or let's say they were not very coding heavy, they can still build some apps. They can still solve the business problem even today. So I'm Manu, what is your advice for the non-tech people? Because now they are thinking, because the bars has got like lower, at least with these tools, etc. Now you can build an apps, you can code, also you can build even a machine learning model. How they can start contributing into the tech ecosystem?
Okay, so there has been the biggest what I was seeing, that after AI, the requirement of the softwares might reduce. Rather, I have seen it increase, because a lot of non-technical persons, or any person who does not have the support from the technology team, they have this power to build the applications by themselves. So the rise in this low code application building solutions using the drag and drops or AI systems have increased phenomenally in the last 1 year or so. But as I have also seen that the more rise in the software solutions of this idea pieces, uh, a lot of them or a maximum of them are dying out within next 3 months, 6 months, uh, because there is no product market fit. What non-tech person are trying to do is they're trying to become the coders overnight, and that is something I do not recommend anyone. The biggest opportunity for any non-tech person is to become a translator. They need to become an high quality input providers. So these non-tech guys might understand an industry, retail, logistics, healthcare, pharmaceutical, whatever. They need to map out their success parameters, their workflows, understand the business, and provide an input to the technology team, AI plus engineers, so that they can spun out an application faster. So for non-tech guys, yes, they can build an application in few days, but that is not something that they should be worrying about. They should be worrying about providing, uh, or they should be working on turning a business pain into a build ready clarity. And once the clarity is there, you know AI is smart enough to spun out an application for you.
Yeah.
That is way I perceive the biggest opportunity for the non-tech people.
Yeah. No, definitely right. So this is something where they can build fast. And I'm coming to you, Sandeep, because nowadays, like the seniors who do have 10 or 15 years of experience, they are getting worried, right? Hey, is this something? How can I stay ahead of the curve? Because either due to these tools or the automation, maybe they are thinking this their knowledge which they have accumulated over the period is not useful for them.
So if they're getting married, it is a good sign to have, because once you acknowledge the problem, then
Hmm.
obviously you start solving it. The problem, Kuldeep, that I have seen is that as time progresses, people become complacent and they get into their comfort zone, and they are not bothered that they are lagging behind. That is the problem. If somebody acknowledges this problem, then obvious solution can be done. Now, uh, I have always told this to a lot of people in my company, and other people who have asked me. uh, One of the mistake that people do is that they believe that the work that they are doing, that is the only thing that they should be doing. Now, the onus and the responsibility of technical growth or whatsoever growth of a person, only that person is responsible for the growth of that person, not anybody else, not the organization or somebody else. So let's say if you are really bothered about you are lagging behind, you are not growing, then it means that you are not spending time on yourself. It is as simple as that. Can you dedicate, let's say, some amount of time? Now, it can be half an hour, it can be hour, it can be 2 hours as well. It depends that how aggressive you are with yourself, right? The only thing that is needed, it is consistency. Whether you are consistent in that approach or not. It is not like that. uh, I got hit that somebody got selected somewhere else. For 1 month I studied hard, and then after that I forgot. You should love technology, instead of just because of the sake of doing something you should do other things, right? Once you have sorted this out, I can assure everybody who is listening to this video at this point of time that you will never have that botheration in your mind that I'm lagging behind, because you're not spending time on yourself. That's why you're lagging behind, and it is
Yeah.
applicable in every aspect of life. If you don't put a focus on your health, you will lag behind in your health or whatsoever. I just want to add one more point to the point that you discussed with Manu. And
Mhm.
I have a firm belief there. In my opinion, see how we define tech and non tech. A person who has done BTech or masters, uh, we treat them as tech, and people who have not done that, people who have done BCom or let's say some other stream, we treat them as non tech, right? But frankly speaking, what I believe that in life, people have different priority. At that point of time, they may have not done, let's say, engineering or something else. But at any point of time, if somebody decides that I want to move into tech, I don't think that person cannot go into that direction. I have seen a lot of examples where, let's say, after 20 years, 30 years of their career, people have decided that, okay, now I want to focus on this area. And in India, it happens less, but at least in outside India, it happens a lot. And off late, I have started seeing this here in India as well, that people, if they decide that, okay, I want to move into tech because it has a better career opportunity, I've seen people doing a lot of transitioning from that angle.
Yeah.
So it is all about conviction and trust on yourself, and then obviously putting effort.
It is in India also. It has become quite prevalent after this data science heat that we have. Like, I will take a couple of examples. We used to have one person in our organization who was a decathlon salesperson, and he came into as a data analyst, stayed with us for 4 or 5 years, become one of the good performers. There is one more guy with a BA in English, right, becoming one of the React developers. So the passion and the dedication and the aggression that you can show, I think that will help you in the technical world.
Yeah. No, definitely, and I think it is again right, the stacking of the knowledge set. We are into the tech world, which is like giving us the advantage that we have to always keep learning new things, because the stack itself is changing, and the past knowledge which you do have is definitely going to help. So it is not going to kind of know that you have wasted it somewhere. All right, and I know we are around the hour now, and I have already seen some of the questions coming up from the audience. But before we get into this, let's start with a rapid fire, and there are like three questions which I'll ask you. You can just answer it in one line or even in one word if you feel like. So I'll start with the first question around the coding, right? Is this something like no code tools will be standard, or the deep coding knowledge will be still required for the people? Whoever wants to go can go ahead first.
I can answer that. So coding is optional, thinking is mandatory. So these no codes are good to start with, but deep coding stays king for reliability, security, and scale.
Okay. Sandeep.
Uh, yes. So according to me, both will exist. Both will coexist. It depends the problem statement. So let's say if a problem which is repeatable, standard, no code platform would obviously be used. But let's say a deep problem which was not repeatable, very complex to solve, then obviously you need deep coding knowledge, and you will be developing a customized solution for that. That's what I feel.
Agreed. So AI agents are going to be part of the team that delivers the software. You are still going to need coding knowledge.
Okay, great. And one more thing also is related to the working. How about the remote work? Is it something now you are going back to the office, or is it something like still remote or hybrid? What is your take on that?
My gray beard suggests come back to work, right? um, I think work can be done from remote places, and there's a lot of value in that. There's a lot of flexibility in that. But I think learning happens through collaboration. I personally have run Tatras as a family, a large extended family of mine, and I miss that, right? And COVID has taken that away from us, I think, to quite an extent. I think really coming back to work is a great thing.
Your take, Manu?
I think I answered that the previous question first, so I will wait for Sandeep sir to answer this one first, and I will
Okay.
just conclude.
Sure. So I'm in office, by the way. So so I am the office person,
But if the
right?
team is in the office,
Yeah. So that's what I'm coming to. So see, I am office person. I like to work from office because, as Sarab said, that a lot of collaboration happens, right? You are just a walk away from another person's to talk to person. But then the reality of the current times is that hybrid is something that is gonna stay. So because people also have challenge. Take example of NCR. A person has to commute for almost 1.5 to 2 hours to come to office and then work, then go back home. That's also a challenge. But again, if my preference is taken, I would love to prefer all 5 days from office. But then hybrid is the reality.
Yeah.
Cool. I think I will go with the same thing because the panel comes from all the panels is sitting on the one side of the table, and we all believe office brings trust and alignment. Uh, and one of the fundamental reasons for me to also choose office is as a small organization we do not have a layer of dedicated managers who can look after the team. I'm the person who's doing the sales also, and I'm also the person who might be managing the people. If I'm on the road doing the sales and if the person is stuck and he has certain problem, and if I'm not readily available, he can spend the entire day without any work because I'm wearing two hats. Unless an organization who can have a proper layer of managers dedicated to help these intermediate and junior level employees, I think hybrid could be an option, but office should be a preferred option for the organization benefit.
Yeah. All right. No, definitely, and I think that's a hybrid is the mostly the working solution, and now due to because the technology is also has evolved. For example, this conversation we are doing it remotely, and more or less like the experience has been that we are just sitting into one office and just chatting with each other. All right. So I have seen some question which has already come, and I will also request the audience to ask the more question so that we can answer it. And to start with, the one question which I see like very frequent in this chat as well as in general is the investment which are coming up, the investment which are coming in AI, are they sustainable or is it just a temporary trend and we might see like like the rest all the technology bubble, maybe AI bubble is also busting. What is your take on this? Maybe I'll start with Sarabjot.
I think there is a bit of a bubble, but I think real investments in AI will continue and are sustainable.
Okay. Any other view, Manu, Sandeep?
So see, for sure, AI is not a bubble. It has to stay. That is for sure. But obviously, at this point of time, cost economics are not meeting. And I would like to thank all those courageous people who are investing a lot of money because they are maturing this market, right? Because somebody has to mature this market, and then that's how then only let's say the proper mature solution. As Sarab said that there are companies who are creating wrappers, right? But they are still maturing this market for us, and then probably somebody come up with a very nice solution which is very cost optimized, which is very business focused. But ultimately, but one point is there that AI will stay, it will improve, it will become more economical, more let's say business aligned, right? That's how it will turn out to be.
Oh,
Well, go ahead, Manu.
yeah, I think there might be a small lag. You guys can hear me properly?
Yes.
Okay. So definitely on the AI side, it is going to rise, but on the economic side, there could be, as Sarabjot sir has mentioned, could be a bubble, a small bubble being in place. If you see like the way the US stock market is working, where the power of this AI resides into 5-7 companies, and these 5-7 companies are putting in the money into each other, thus rising the stock market. That and the results and the earnings, the quarterly earnings or the annual earnings, if they are not in line with the investment that they have done, yes, the market might correct itself. I will give you a small example. and Sarabjot sir and other members might be aware of it. Microsoft invested in OpenAI. OpenAI then used this money to buy NVIDIA chips. NVIDIA then pays to Microsoft to build data centers. So it's similar to thing where I'm being paid to dug a hole and I'm paying another person to fill the hole. So this circular loop is happening in the US market, but again the fundamentals are strong. It
Yeah.
could correct, the market could correct, but AI for sure is going to help the lives of us SMEs and the world.
Yeah, and definitely it is going to help, to the people who don't have that much investment to do. Because, for example, now with these help of these tool, people do have certain idea in their mind where they can start building and start, showing it to the users. One another question, and I think we are over time, so we'll just take the final question is, AI, will it take all my job, or will it act as a complementary to me? That's the common theme I see.
I think it'll take away the jobs you shouldn't have had, right?
Hmm.
The At the time of the IT boom, a lot of people got into IT and coding when they shouldn't have. They didn't have the passion, right? I mean, I think Sandeep and Manu both talked about love for tech. If you have a love for tech, you're going to be secure, in my view. You have to learn and adapt to the new tools and use them to improve your productivity. If you don't have a love for tech, then move into places that you have a love for. Find your passion and you're going to be successful. We talk about AI being more creative than human beings. I think that's a nonsense, right? There have always been competition in creativity, whether you're an author, a painter, or a poet. There have been thousands of people writing poems. It is your brilliance and your way of creating something that has made you successful. AI will compete with you in that sense, but you can always, if you have a passion, you can create something beautiful that will compete and beat AI, in my view. So find a job in where you are passionate.
Hmm.
Sandeep sir.
Any?
So I usually answer this question depends on you, whether you upskill yourself or you will remain in your comfort zone. And let's say if the area in which your comfort zone is, and if area is not evolving and it is going obsolete, obviously will get obsolete as well. So you have to ensure that you remain in that area which is not obsolete. And obviously, as Sarah said, that as simple as that, if you love technology, then obviously you will not be faced with all these questions.
Yeah.
And the way I say it, AI is going to replace task, but it is not going to replace the responsibility on you.
Yeah.
So this is the
And
way
that,
I define it in a small.
yeah, and I see it also, right? For example, you can do more things earlier, which were not possible. So it is definitely going to complement. But if, as a technologist or as a non-technologist, you're thinking that the world will remain the same, world is not going to remain the same. So you will see that these things will become part of your life. As, for example, like, some of the tools which maybe 50 years ago no one would have predicted, that computer will become a part of our life, mobile phones will become part of our life, the home delivery of the item will become part of our life. And that has changed the way how we do plan the thing, how do we execute the thing. And as a technologist, it is like always uh, one thing is constant, and which is the change, right? So that is whether you embrace it or whether you think it is too much. Then definitely, this technology space is not for you. All right, we are 5 minutes over, but I think it was a wonderful conversation, and thanks a lot for sharing your views, Sarabjot sir, Sandeep, Manu, and I think giving, like, the take also on the technology space, how it is going to help you. Is it going to replace you? Those things are also helpful, as we are just starting the year 2026, which we can take those learning and go back and start applying in our day-to-day life. So thanks a lot for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank
Kuldeep.
you, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care. Cheers.
All right. That's it for this episode. Until next time, keep learning and keep innovating. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done yet. Take care.